Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here today at this EV Summit, albeit a virtual one. I'm here to focus on electric vans and how and when is EV right for your businesses. To chat about some of the challenges about making the transition over to operating electric vans on your fleet. From a vehicle distributor, dealing with electric vehicles in the commercial world for over 4 years now, we've learned so much, not just from a sales side, but from a customer side also. So working together, we can make that transition an extremely smooth one. Just a little bit of information on who we are. So the Harris Group of companies are long established in Ireland, dating back to the 40s. We first represented Hino trucks in Ireland in 1966. It was founded by a true visionary at the time, Pino Harris. Some of the brands we represent today is Higer Bus and Coach, who also offer a full electric city bus. Crusader, AOS, Sinotruck, Isuzu Pickup and Truck Series, just to give you a brief insight into who we are. In 2015, we won the distribution rights for LDV in Ireland. Since then, we secured all right-hand drive markets throughout Europe. LDV has since rebranded and is now known worldwide as MAXUS. Today, we're one of the leading suppliers of full electric vans tailored to your needs. Whether it's tipper, panel vans, minibuses, or wheelchair accessible vehicles, we can offer the same variant that you would have in a diesel vehicle. Manufacturers of MAXUS is Saic Motor Company. Saic produce more than 7 million vehicles a year. They're ranked 36th in the top global 500 companies. They're specialists in pure electric intelligent logistics. Saic's multi-billion investment in safety, innovation, new products with a huge focus on electric vehicles. It's almost impossible to describe how forward-thinking, futuristic Saic is, and the size and scale of their operations throughout China. Saic are part of the Lighthouse Network. The Global Lighthouse Network is advanced manufacturers, has demonstrated how leading companies can work in realizing the full potential of innovations and advances at the core of this fourth industrial revolution. First to the market in China and Europe with a pure electric vehicle, zero emissions, large size, panel van and chassis cab. You might know our brand already. Unpust was one of our first major fleet customers in Ireland back in 2016. Since then, Unpust, DPD, Gleason's, Hireco and various councils have just some of the Irish customers who's embraced the transition to electric with us. Hugely popular in the UK and the light commercial vehicle of choice for many delivery companies, city councils, chilled food distributions. We've sold more than 250 electric milk floats to one company in the last year. I think we all remember the milkman Pat Mustard out of Father Ted and his electric float. Technology has moved on a lot since then. This year, in the middle of a pandemic, we launched our next EV, the all-new Edeliver 3. It's a brand new platform. It's got an aluminium monocoque frame designed as an EV and an EV only with no other powertrain options available. It's a great little van. It's nippy, brilliant to drive, and with 2 battery options and a range of up to 320 kilometers. So is the commercial market ready for the EV revolution? So let's take a look at the possible challenges that lay ahead. If the answer is yes, is the infrastructure there to support the wholesale move? Unfortunately, the blanket answer is no to both questions. But that's not a pessimistic no, because many companies, the journey to EV has already started. Others can join the EV revolution when the time is right for them. In terms of infrastructure, we're nowhere where we need to be with infrastructure. But again, the infrastructure journey has begun. But to fully support the move to electric, a lot more needs to be done in this sector. So I'd like today to look at the EV journey and examine what companies and fleet buyers need to do to make that switch and whether or not the time is right to do so. As stakeholders, we have to be honest with our customers and the market and admit that for many, the time may not be now. But you will be surprised that the time is now for many. So there's nothing to stop anyone from starting the journey because we all know the future is going to be electric. So what's driving the move to electric? It's greener conscience. We want to do what's right, the right thing for this, and more importantly, for our future generations. Multiple benefits to companies, lower costs over the life of the vehicle, TCO, a positive brand image, corporate social responsibility, being a market leader, and obviously contributing to the reduction in our carbon emissions. It's difficult to make, not to mention the pandemic at the moment. In the context of commercial vehicles, this pandemic has a number of impacts. It's not front of mind for many business owners at the moment, but then again, it's given others time to consider the future of their business and how that future might look with electric vehicles. But one thing we can all agree on is that the pandemic has put a focus back on the environment issues. Cleaner air is a hot topic right now. And what about when the dust settles and the government scrambles to balance the books and bring in the exchequer revenue forever as possible? Will we be looking at congestion charges in our cities? From the budget, you can see there's an increase already in carbon tax. So whether you're ready to make the move now or not, the smart move is certainly start thinking about electric vehicles. It's never too soon to start the journey. Gearing up is 90% of the journey, but people need to be supported along the way. So what are the key things you need to consider and understand if an EV is right for your business? It's not an overnight decision. You don't just a question of picking a nice looking vehicle, going into your EV dealer and handing over a check. Business owners need to weigh up the pros and cons carefully in the role of the dealer. My view is that they need to help and consider the decision about the fleet and their customer, whether it's the right choice or not. So in the transition, we need to look at your average mileage. Is the vehicle on single or double shifts? The charging infrastructure. Do you need a slow charger or a fast charger? These are some of the questions that we need to focus on when you're looking at transition to electric vehicle. So, for example, if your vehicle's on a single shift and you require a mileage range of 100 miles per day or 160 kilometers per day, so then we can adapt the right battery to suit your application on that. The charging infrastructure is extremely important. Again, if you need to have rapid charging on site, again, is this infrastructure there, as in the network, capable of producing enough energy for your chargers? So the first thing is mileage. So what's your daily mileage you do? Your routes in your vehicle, are you on a fixed route every day, or does your route vary? Infrastructure, are you passing any of the service points where you can avail of the public infrastructure? Payload, what's your required payload in your vehicle? Again, if you're looking at an example of a vehicle that's operating in the city only, and you require a maximum payload as possible, there's no point going with a big battery when a small battery will do the same job for you and increase your payload for that application. Is the vehicle on single shift or double shift? If the vehicle's on double shift, how long is the vehicle back in the depot? Is it back in the depot for 2 hours, or is it back in the depot for overnight? Again, that's down to what type of charging infrastructure is required for that. And again, it's important for us to understand your requirements of an electric vehicle, and most importantly, for you to understand what an electric vehicle can do for you. So again, these are all things that your EV dealer can discuss with you. So, range anxiety, or is it charger anxiety? We all know the perils of range anxiety, and that it's actually charger anxiety. Will the public charger station be working when I get there? Will there be a queue? Research and charging infrastructure on your regular routes, and it should go without saying that all EV drivers should have the app on their phone. So a little bit of careful planning on your business can make that transition as smooth as possible. We all remember prior to the smartphones, we had the old Nokia phone where you'd have a battery that lasts you 5 days. And all of a sudden then we moved to the new world of mobile phones, and we had smartphones. And everywhere you went, you were looking for a plug to plug in your smartphone. So it didn't take us long to get over that transition on the smartphone. But a lot more has to be done from a government point of view as regards to public infrastructure and the chargers. So hopefully this will happen. Because unfortunately for any business, time is money, and often there is no time for downtime. So the cost, financial incentives. So look at the costs. So do your homework and research what grants and supports are available. You need to look at total cost of ownership of an electric vehicle. There are a number of financial supports available to help make that move to electric. There's government grants available. In Ireland, it's €3,800. In the UK, our neighbouring partners are offering £8,000. So I truly hope that our government are looking at putting in more incentives as regards grants to help people transition to electric. Toll incentives. We know the M50 is offering 50% reduction in the cost of tolls. So it's interesting, many people think that an EV van will cost prohibitive, but in fact, when you look at the total cost of ownership, you'd be surprised how cost neutral or even cost saving would be on the vehicle. So looking at electric vehicles, compare them to your existing diesel fleet, you need to look at your fuel costs. What are you actually spending on an annual basis for fuel on your vehicle? You need to look at maintenance costs. How much does the vehicle cost to maintain over that 12-month or that 60-month period? So if you look at the maintenance for electric vehicles versus your diesel vehicles, it's probably 70% less maintenance for electric vehicles. Just as it happens, I was speaking to a friend of mine who's a small company and delivers to shops and supermarkets around Kildare and Dublin. We're just generally chatting last week or 2 weeks ago. And he asked me, he said, how much are the electric vans? And I said, how much is your diesel van? So he gave me a price, and I said, it's double. And he goes, that's crazy, that won't work. When we sat down and looked at just 3 things, it was very clear within a few minutes that it worked. We looked at the total cost as regards HP on his van over 5 years. We looked at total cost of fuel, what fuel has cost him for 5 years. And then we looked at the servicing costs and that. And it was clearly that for him, switching over to electric is a saving of over €2,000 over a 5-year period. And that's not looking at toll charges or even getting down to the nitty-gritties. But again, our EV dealer can go through the full cost analysis with you. We can work out what the electricity is costing you for kilowatts versus what your fuel is. Leasing or outright ownership. So the total cost of ownership. Understand the financial implications of leasing and what would spread the cost over your purchase. So whichever suits many businesses, leasing option, you have the fixed monthly costs. Most leasing companies offer full maintenance as well. So you know that the next 5 years, that vehicle's only costing you X amount per month. So sit down with your dealer or advisor and work on the best option for you and your business and take into consideration of what grants are available, plus capital right off year one. So summarize, just know your fixed routes, your mileage per day. Understand the cost structure of going electric. Consider factors such as congestion charges and whole life cost. Chances are that long-term costs will come in favour of electric vehicles. Research the government grants, see what's available, what support is there. Speak to other EV users. You'll receive a true insight and a frank appraisal on electric vehicles. As it happened, in fact, when we looked at electric vehicles first, I was in the shopping mall one day and I went outside to the public charge station speaking to 3 or 4 EV owners. And I've learned more in that 10 minutes speaking to them than I would have reading any textbook. So the next time you're out and about, drop into a public charge station, speak to EV owners, and they'll give you the full insight of transition to electric vehicles. So don't panic if EV is not for you now, but you'll be surprised how soon it will be. Hopefully within time, the infrastructure will improve to offer that support in the network of charge stations throughout the country. So thank you very much for your time today. If you have any questions, Carl will be online to answer them. So thank you.